Hello everyone. Welcome back to the User of Bricks channel. Today we are creating a miner block, but not just any miner block. A miner block that will dig out a certain area all the way down to bedrock. Okay, so let's get started. First off, you of course need your block. And you can add whatever textures you want to it. This will be a part of my tutorial Minecraft mod or workspace, my mcreator workspace that I will be letting everyone have once I am able to get it up onto my website, and I will link that in the description once that is there. Anyway, let's create a few things. Let's stylize it after the furnace. No, let's have that as nothing. Block, M-I-N-N-E-R. And then we'll need another, which will be the top. M-I-N-N-E-R underscore T-O-P. And exit. Okay, so once you have your texture, you can pretty much, you can have your own custom, you can just do the texture, or you can make a custom model, and you can do that as well. You can have orientation. I have made my texture so that it doesn't have ability for orientation, so yeah. Next page, you want to call it miner. And we don't really have to mess with a lot of these, but probably you want to change the creative tab to something else like decorations, because that's where the other furnace, I believe, is. Either that or it's in, no, it's not in redstone. It's in decorations. Okay, we don't want it to be a growing block, a beacon base, or provide power. We don't want it to be an enchanter like the bookshelf. We want it, we want it to be that opacity, which this is the max. The material, definitely rock. Tick rate, let's leave it at 10. Able to destroy it, pickaxe. Affected by silk touch, yes. Doesn't drop itself, no. Drop amount 1. It's on step. We want to turn that to stone or metal. We want metal. Okay, so luminosity, we want that up a little bit. And is unbreakable? Nope. Can walk through block? No. Okay, we're good there. Don't really want any particles. Yes, we want it. Well, here's where the decision happens for it. You can either have the items pop into the block's inventory, which I do not suggest that, as the items for this would fill up really quick. I'd suggest just making them appear on top of the block itself. Okay. In later videos, I will be showing you how to add your own custom energy system, and then I will also show how to turn this to use that energy, which will use this, but for now we don't need it. Okay, so oftentimes mcreator doesn't like you just opening a procedure from this menu. Even though the plus icons are there, they can bug out mcreator. So we will not do that right now. So we will want a right-click event for now. As I said, later I will show you how to do other things, but for right now it is a right-click event. You can put it really on anything. So, and the procedure will enable that if you want to put it on an item, and an item clicks on the miner, it'll mine, or really anything else you want. Okay, so let's start the procedure. There. Okay, so we want it to be miner right click, or let's just call it miner click, as I forget which, if it's right or left, that we'll be putting it on. Okay, create procedure, and this is where everything happens. Why isn't it? Oh, it's loading. Okay, so yeah, this is where all the magic happens. This is where we will be creating an algorithm. Now, don't get scared. It's a really simple algorithm. There's really no fancy stuff happening. But to do this algorithm, we will need 3 local variables. They will stand for the X, Y, and Z coordinates, but do not label them as their names as X, Y, and Z, as that will interfere with Minecraft's coordinates. So call them like X chord, and you will want it to be a number. Then you want the Y chord and the Z chord. Once you have those, we're ready to get into all of the wonderful procedure editing. So to make this happen, for wherever you put this, you will want to get a logic loop and put it right there. You will also want to, pretty much we're comparing if a block is something. So hold on, I believe there is something in here. So check out in block slot. No, they do not. So never mind, we will need this if statement. We will then need a logic comparator. We will want to go to block procedures. No, not block. Yes, block procedures. Get block at XYZ. And you will want to go to Minecraft components and get the block, not the item, as the item doesn't work. Click on that, and it should load the block blocks / item selector. Okay, so we want to go to custom elements, double click on our miner block, and there we are. You can put this pretty much anywhere to activate the miner block, as long as it has the X, Y, and Z coordinates, and as long as the block at those X, Y, and Z coordinates is the miner block, this procedure will run. Okay, next we want to create a not a while loop, but a different kind of loop. A repeat a number of times. So this is a really powerful thing. You can also use the while function, like while certain things, but that gets a little more complicated. We will be using the repeat a number of times and then break out of loop. And we will want to add a math number, or not a math number. This one will be an infinite. So get the random block and then an infinite loop, and then right away, so you don't forget about it, you will want to add a break out of loop function. And that will make sure that this procedure doesn't run infinitely, even though we have it set to infinite. Okay, so here comes some more, you could say, complicated things. So we will want to set our local variables. So go to custom variables, then the purple one, set a local xcord. You want to copy it and have that one as the y chord, and you want a z chord. Okay, once you have those, you will want to go to math, get 3 of these addition blocks, and you'll want to copy the x, the y, and the z blocks, as we want the procedure to run according to where this minor block is. And next you'll want to go to math and get 3 numbers and just place them in. You want to set the x chord to +1, the z chord to +1, and the y chord you actually want to do it to -1, as we do not want to break the minor block itself. This whole procedure will start 1 below it. Okay, so back to the loop function. We will need, can I remember? If you can't tell, this is kind of complicated for my brain to think out, as I do not have a reference on me at the moment. So we want a block procedure. We want to remove, no. We want a remove block at certain coordinates and put it inside that loop function. And in place of these first x, y, and z coordinates, you will want your variables. So you will want I'm getting lost as I'm talking. You want the x chord, z chord, and y coordinate. So we have our x, z, and y. And we want it to drop at x, y plus 1. There's the plus, y, math, number 1. This will make the items drop right above the minor block. And this is what will, this is the base thing for the entire system. This is what removes the blocks. Now, to make it change where the block is, we will need a few if statements. I believe it's 2 that we will be needing. We will also be needing some and functions or things. So go to there and you can copy that. As for this first one, let me think. So let me verbal process right now. So with this procedure, we want it to go down the x-coordinate for 3 blocks. And if you want it to be more than 3 blocks, you can, I'll show you how to edit those things at the end of this video, so don't worry about that. We want it to go down the x-coordinate first, and then once it gets to the end of that x, we want it to go, the z-coord to decrease by 1, and the x-coordinate to reset where it originally was. So that will be the first function we're creating. Let me get rid of this if statement to stop confusing myself. So we want if we want this purple procedure block, not the and. So we want to get the x-coord and equals, we want the y-coord minus, x-coord minus 1. What this does is it checks if the variable x-coord equals the x position of the minor block, the x position of the minor block minus 1. So we're starting at the coordinates where both the x and y are plus 1. I will create a visual so that you can see what I'm talking about. So the plus 1 position, then we want the x-coordinate to move along the x axis. And then once it gets there, we want to reset the x-coordinate and move the z-coordinate minus 1. We want to, then it'll do that again, and then we'll add a function if it is at that section, do this. So what we have done right now is we have set the if variable for when the x-coordinate gets to its max length, which right now is x minus 1. We then want to set the x-coordinate back to x plus 1, back to x plus 1, and we want the z coordinate to increase by 1. So we want to get the local z coord and add, or sorry, not add 1, subtract 1 from it so that it moves. I know this may be confusing and you can go from the other way, but I'm just choosing to go this way as it makes most sense. And then after that, we want to copy this break out of loop function, as there is another function to this. There is continue with next iteration, which means it jumps out of this if statement and goes through the loop again. So that one is done. Next, we need to create a function that increases the x coord by 1, so it can get to this if scenario that we have just created. So we want to set local x coord to get local x coord minus 1. And it will only do that if the other scenarios aren't doing anything. And I just realized now this break out of loop function, we don't need it right there. So, but we do want continue with next iteration procedure block right there. Okay, so what we've done right here is we have made it so that the x coord decreases until it gets to here, and when it gets to there, it resets, decreases the z coord, and that function pretty much increases, and that'll go to infinity. We don't want it to go to infinity. We want it to dig down in a 3 by 3. So we need another scenario. You can pretty much just copy the if statement we just created, detach the what is this called? The get local x coord comparating thing. We want to go to logic operations and you can put this back in, copy it, and instead of this second one being to the x coord, we want it to be the z coord, which also means we need to change this x to a z. And now we have that, and we want, when this happens, we want the y coord to decrease by 1 so that it will go down a layer. And we want the z coord to go back to its original state, which is z plus 1. We want the x coord to go back to its original state, which is x plus 1. And there we have the basic of algorithm. So it will, again, start at that beginning block, go down the x coordinate. Once it reaches the end that we have set, it will reset the x coordinate, decrease the z coordinate, and do that. What we've set is 3 times to where the x and the z are 1 less than the x coordinate and z coordinate of the miner's block. Okay, there is one other thing we should do, is that if you don't want it to go all the way down to bedrock, but you want it to be limited to a certain depth from the miner's block, or you want it to only go to this y coordinate. I'll show you both. And to do that, we need another if statement. We want to copy, come on, it's not wanting to do it for me, so we'll just create it. So logic operations, we want the equals, we want to get the local y chord, and you can either set this to be a number, which will make it stop when the y chord equals that certain number. And to make it stop, we will be needing the break out of loop function. I would suggest doing this no matter what, so that you don't have a procedure that's infinitely running, which that is not good because we have the repeat infinite amount of times. Now, if you want the miner to only mine a certain amount of blocks, then you can set this to a certain number, and it will mine a certain amount of blocks. We aren't doing that. We want it to mine down to a certain y level. And so we need a number. We want to set this number, let's say, to 10. That means when the y coordinate equals level 10, it will break out of the loop. I just realized, to make it not do one thing, we need that to be above the remove block at function, so that it doesn't remove any blocks at the y coordinate of 10. Okay, that's it. That's the entire thing. That's much simpler than going block by block by block and doing that. So now we want to go next, and there we have our miner click function. We want to go into our block elements for the miner, and when a block is right-clicked, want to do the miner click function. Hit next, next again, and there you have it. There is the miner block. This is one version that you can have for it in a 3x3 function. Now, like I said earlier, I will show you how to increase this by a good amount. Okay, so we want, well, I'll use 3 other variables for these to do different things, but we want to make this, let's say, do a 7x7 block area. We want to increase the x and we want it to do a what would that be? So it's 3 away, so 1, 2, 3, 5x5. We can just increase the x, y, and z coordinate to the certain amount. But now this procedure block, the miner is not in the center that it is mining. This is where you can move it around. But I would suggest having it more centered, as it can't just be on any corner. It will always, the square that it creates will always be greater, will always go out in a certain directions. So I wouldn't exactly suggest it. I'd suggest creating it in the center, but if you want it to be like near the edge but not on it, you can just increase those two values, and that will be the area that it mines out. And that can go really as far as you want. If you want it to mine another layer below the one below the miner block, I know, confusing-ish, you can increase this number by 2 so that there will be a layer of blocks between the mining area and where the miner is, so that you can do like redstone or stuff like that. But I'd suggest leaving it at the Y -1 as the first starting Y chord. This will enable you to do different things. Now, as I said, this is the base version. You can increase different things and tweak it to however you like or want it to be. What was I going to show you guys? Yes, I was going to show you how to create it so that it only goes down a certain amount of blocks from the base of the starting layer, or I should say starting from the starting layer. So it'll be in this if function. You want to get one of these functions that we created earlier, and you'll want to change the that area to a Y coordinate. Like -1. It will only do. It won't even do the first layer here. Y -2, it will only do the first layer. Y -10, it will only do the first 9 layers. And yeah, and that's where I'm going to have it right there, so that you can tier this miner up. So yeah, this has been User Bricks. Thank you for watching this first episode in the 2-episode series for the miner block. If you enjoyed the video and found it very helpful, please like and consider subscribing to be notified when the next video comes out. I'll see you next time.